In today's Path of Exile 2 video, I will show and explain you best strategy for the end game content, how to make best maps, unlimited Waystones, how to prepare your gear, and beginner-friendly step-by-step guide to advance through the end game. This part of the game starts when you finish campaign and beat all bosses and missions. You will find yourself in completely new place, Ziggurat Refuge, and here will be a boy Duriani. He is your main friend in the end game. You can buy Waystones from him, so don't worry if you're out of Waystones, you can buy it here. Well, I'll jump forward a little bit and tell you a secret. You can use the Forging Bench to make higher tier Waystones. Combine 3 tier 1 Waystones and you will get tier 2 Waystone. Also, you can augment these bad boys. You can use transmutation and augmentation shards to make it blue and get more bonuses. You can use Regal shard to make it yellow with even more bonuses and even Exalt orbs. But please don't dump your Exalts on Waystones yet. I will explain when you need to do it later. Right now, go and touch map device. And you will open this big and scary atlas. It will be tied to your account and you can play the same atlas with different characters. Everyone will start from Ziggurat Refuge, but will have different layout, different maps and biomes everywhere. Dots is basically maps, and they will be connected with lines. Lines show where you can go next. For example, this map is still opened and we can go and try to play it. Green is completed maps and blue is maps where we can go, while red maps will be completely blocked maps. You need to lose, I guess, like few times to completely block the map. Step 1 when you start an endgame is to complete tier 1 maps. You need to complete 10 of them, but you need to choose correct path. So what you want to do in the first step to identify this place. You'll find this icon, and this icon is hideout. This icon on the right. After clearing hideout map, you won't ever need to chill with the guys who trying to destroy your FPS by showcasing their skins, since you will be able to travel to your hideout from the map. There is different hideouts that you can edit by your preferences. You can put any NPC where you want, any chest where you want, and it makes life in the endgame a lot easier. Since it's not the Sims guide, let's talk about map types. You will see a bunch of different icons on the maps. We got bridge and expedition over here. If you attempt map and lose it, you will lose the bonuses too. You still will need to complete it, but it will have no bonuses. Or let's better call them special map types. So step 1 is to get your hideout. Let me show how to actually play maps. You want to pick a Waystone from your inventory and drop it into inventory of the map. Press on traverse and then mob device will open 6 portals. These portals is your attempts. All portals will lead to the same place, and that's what happened when you exit back to your hideout. One of the portals is closed. You can sell or reforge your items, get your flasks ready in a well, and then continue finishing the map. So yeah, it's kinda not 6 attempts, but 6 back and forths on the map. When you disconnect, you also will lose 1 portal, but you won't lose the map. Level of Waystone will affect level of monsters. Tier 7 Waystone will give you level 71 map. So to finish map, you need to defeat all magic and rare monsters. Technically that's true for any map that's not containing bosses. There's maps with bosses and they will be counted as boss enemies too, and you also need to defeat boss, of course, to leave the map completed. Higher level of the maps, higher tier of the enemies and more harder enemies will give you better drops, and you will find a lot more currency and a lot more cool items. When you attempt your first maps, probably you will get a pretty weird feeling. You just beat the campaign, but you will just die in one shot to any hit of the monsters. Still, you may try to use some strategies like defeating mini monsters first and then finishing off the big guys for juicy drops. Also, as you can see, maps are really big. I advise you to have some movement speeds on your boots, but that's not the biggest problem. And dash itself, loss of the map itself, is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem that from some point, probably from level 70 plus, you will start losing your experience when you die on the maps, so you actually can stop progressing. But don't worry, I got some tips and exact formula how you can defeat all maps from tier 1 to tier 15 15. After a certain moment, if you can't find last monsters, you will find them on minimap. So don't worry, you won't be lost forever. And here is another little tip for you. When you find minion enemies, this means the big yellow rare monster is nearby, because he always got some minions. After you defeat the last elite monster, you will see map completed on the bottom of the screen. Before you start the next map, you can back to this one to finish some monsters. But I'm going to my boy Doriani, because if you think this passive tree is big and scary stuff, don't worry, in the end game you get completely new one. And after completing maps, Doriani will give you books that will give skill points for this Atlas passive skill tree. Well, step 1 is finished. You should get your hideout at this point, and if you're out of Waystones, just buy them from Doriani. And our first goal is to complete maps of suggested tier to get skill points for Atlas, and this will unlock endless possibilities in endgame. But I'm going back to Ziggurat Refugee to set up for step 2, because biggest problem for us when we're trying to advance is getting Waystones. So step 2 is to make setup for unlimited Waystones. I get a bug, so I see tower ranges only in Ziggurat Refugee. And yeah, here is the towers that you see on the map. And these towers is the key for my step 2. You see range of the towers, and we can affect all maps in this range. So after getting your hideout, try to look into Fog of War and find places with bunch of towers nearby. As you can see over here on the right, we got nice bunch of towers. And that's basically the place where you need to go next, but you probably already advanced a little bit. So on this tower we get corruption modifier, this red sign. This means this map will have one more level of monsters to your Waystone. If you're out of Waystones at this point, just buy them from Doriani, and you probably should already have some points in Atlas, and that's how you want to level up first points. You want to get higher tier Waystones. From now on, when you find Waystones in the maps, they will be higher tier probably. But if you're having troubles after completing tier 2 maps, you want to go to the right side, so you can respec your Atlas points and get 3 points until constant crossroads. That gives us more Waystones on the maps. And then you start investing into left part of high tier Waystones to get more Waystones of high tier, followed by more monster packs. More monsters means more chances to get more items as well as Waystones, of course. Then again, you want high tier Waystones, so next level pick this high tier Waystones and this high tier Waystones over here. And at this point you probably will set up for step 2 that I will explain now. So we want to upgrade Percussor influence, because we will use Percussor tablets on Percussor towers, as well as high tier Waystones once again. And final part before finishing step 2 is to get these 2 points over here in Atlas. They gives us a lot of cool bonuses. By getting local knowledge you will get a lot of basic currency as well as other goodies from the maps. When you advance to the end game, you can pick wherever you like. If you need more Waystones, they will be on the bottom right as well as on the bottom of the skill tree. If you're item hunter, go to the right. If you like loads of monsters, go to the left. But if you like milking maps as high as possible, you want to go to the top part of Atlas skill tree, and that's where I will go. So let's check out this tower. And probably you already got a question: what Waystone to use on maps? If you're not sure how powerful your character is, just go for basic, even grey Waystones without bonuses. But if you're feeling great, just use Orb of Transmutation. It will instantly give you high chance of Waystone drops. But again, our main objective right now is to finish map and not die, to get more Atlas points, to make setup ready for step 2. And here we are on the tower location. Towers most of the time are pretty same, and they looks like the Shard towers from Act 2. Objective here is not to defeat monsters, rare and unique monsters, but to find stairs. When you will find big white stairs, that's the place where you want to go. So over here is like the door, basically you go inside, some dudes chilling on the ground. Some chilled for too long, and you need to press on Percussor beacon to activate the tower and finish map. Now from the Atlas we can activate the tower and put in a Percussor tablet. You will find them as random drops, and also they can be augmented with different bonuses. The best tablets you're looking for in step 2 is Irradiated tablets. They will give you +1 to monster level, as well as other good bonuses like bonus experience. The idea is to get bunch of tablets for more size of packs, more experience, more drops. So we need to find places in the middle or nearby of 3 or more towers and beef them up for more experience, more drops and more goodies basically. As far as I know, there is no corrupted percussion tablets, so you can't make this red modificator on maps. That's why best place to make really strong maps is to find corruption zones and then beef them up nearby. So you see a bunch of towers over here and that's the zone I will target. Let me bring the white paper and show you how it look like more clearly. So for example, we got 3 towers on the one side and bunch of towers on another. When you insert percussor tablets, towers will affect a bunch of maps in area around it. Let's say maps on the right will affect this radius and maps on the left this radius. A red zone where the areas overlapping is the area we're targeting. We will milk maps as hard as possible in this area, but before applying percussor tablets we want to clear everything outside of this zone and in the zone of towers, in the purple area. And you will make maps with insane drops and experience gain. And that's the main idea why you want to actually move around the towers and clear some area beforehand to finally make maps like this with like 4 extra bonuses and tons of extra modifiers. And I will dump this tablet to show you why. These modifiers will affect wall zone and wall radius of the map, while this bonus on the top will affect only 7 maps, or another number from 5 to 10 based on the tablet. So let me just dump it into the tower and you will see how maps starting to get bonuses. I got +1 level on these 2 maps, as well as 1 on the top, but I wanted to make +2 levels in this area. That's why we need to clear all areas around the towers first and then leave like 7-10 maps in the middle of the towers to beef them up. It will take you some time and you will interact with a lot of different maps. So let's learn mechanics and how we can interact with them. One of the activities will be a ritual. You should be familiar with mechanics from the first act. It's basically the same ritual, you need to find ritual sites and then interact with them. I suggest you to clear a lot of area around it, so you're not being interrupted by other mobs when you complete a ritual. When you start ritual, there will be a bunch of different debuffs or effects that will occur. For example, on this map there will be a red nade on rituals, so you need to make sure you know what you are interacting with. A red nade can destroy me really quickly, and as you can see, this ritual site is located near the walls, as well as every ritual will block area and basically will make dark area inaccessible for you. So most of the time you will be forced to interact in closed spaces, but when you finish you can interact with this ritual site and you will get a bunch of currency that you can spend to buy items from this map. Also, some of them will be locked, you need to complete more rituals to unlock them. A ritual shop will be rerolled every map, but if you will find some items that you can't afford right now, you can defer them and buy them later in later shops. And for some lower price you will encounter these items on the next maps too. A ritual as well as other activities is pretty optional, so while I still got rituals left on the map is completed and I can go away. Okay, Deliruim encounters, one of my favorite. Right from the start of the zone you will find Deliruim entrance. You need to just touch it and you will start Deliruim encounter. Extra Deliruim monsters will start to appear from everywhere, and you want to keep a close look on the fog where it moves and try to move alongside. Defeating enemies will contribute to Deliruim meter, and you will be granted with Deliruim distilled emotions when you finish the encounter. It's very hard to get past 5 or 6. And since monsters will start to become more tanky and scary every tier, it's really advised to end Deliruim encounter when you feel it's really hard. When you finish encounter, that's the stuff you will be granted with: distilled emotions, ire, guilt, greed and other stuff. You can combine lower tiers in Reforging Bench to make high tiers, or you can just press on your Deliruim bottle to activate Deliruim instilling crafting menu, where you can drop your amulet and then you can instill this amulet. This will grant your amulet extra power from passive tree node, and order matters, because different order will give you different results. You can see recipes on passive skill tree, and that's really useful if you want some passive from other side of passive skill tree and you can't get over there by traveling nodes with your build. The next one is Expedition, also pretty funny activity. So you will travel through the map and you will find this icon, this menu that you're close to bomb site. Bunch of different flags on minefield means you're in expedition area. You will find NPC over here, but first of all make sure you cleared wall surrounding area from monsters again, so they won't interrupt you. Then you can start placing your mines anywhere you like. You will see a bunch of bonuses, like monsters grant you 100% more experience, but also they will gain 100% damage as extra fire damage. So if you don't have nice fire resist, don't place detonators over here. For example, my main damage is cold damage, so I definitely want to avoid this cold damage immunity of monsters. Analyze area and place your first bomb. Now you can go in any direction, but you will have only limited distance where you can place the next one. Red flags most of the time will spawn new monsters. While you're looking for these flags, they most of the time will give you expedition chest. After placing all bombs, go to detonator, activate it and be ready to fight versus monsters. Monsters will spawn on these red flags most of the time, as I told you, as well as expedition chests, as well as some expedition currency. Clear down the area from monsters and then you can collect your loot. As you can see, it's completely new types of currency, some expedition coins and other stuff, like broken circlet artifact. You will encounter 4 different NPCs tied to expedition activity, and you will be able to place them in your hideout after you meet them. Now you can trade with them with your expedition currency. For example, this bro selling rings, amulets and belts for black size artifacts. I really recommend getting big stacks before you start trading. Also, you can use exotic coinage to reroll shops, so if you don't like items, there is the button to reroll it. But you're not just buying items, here how it works. For example, I like this amulet and I spent just 1 expedition currency, and now we can have fewer rolls. For 1 more currency I can remove all suffix modifiers. They even will be highlighted if you don't know how items works. But if I want to keep them, I can skip this step. I definitely want to keep this lightning resistance on amulet, so I'm skipping, but you can skip 2 consecutive crafts. So now for 5 currency I can remove the lowest tier modifier. That's a great option, I definitely removing tier 1 accuracy roll. And now I can add extra prefix modifier, but it will cost more than I have right now. That's why by getting large stacks of currency you can roll perfect items. By the way, if you don't need exotic coinage, you can exchange them for any of the artifacts from this dude. He is also one of the guys from Expedition. Next activity you can encounter is Bridge, pretty fun one. You will travel through the map and then you will find some like purple effects. This means bridge is somewhere nearby, and you will easily find the bridge, which is basically a purple hand, and all you need to do is to just touch it and bridge starts. The area will start to grow and you want to go alongside the edge of this area. You will encounter bridge monsters that area will reveal, as well as bridge hands. You want to touch bridge hands to get some loot and destroy monsters to get more unique bridge loot. This unique loot will be used to augment your amulets and rings with quality. So if you want to make more powerful jewelry to get your character as powerful as possible, you definitely want to clear some bridges. Overall, bridge got a lot of monsters as well as a lot of juicy drops. Area will start to shrink and bridge will eventually end. And that's the currency you will get from bridge. Last but not least is the boss encounters. They will look like this. Overall, it's pretty straightforward. You will meet bosses that you encountered in the campaign. And yeah, if you encounter any shrines, don't fear them, just activate, and most of the time they will give you positive bonuses. At least I don't know any negative shrines. So technically boss maps is basic maps, but with extra strong enemy, and the strong enemies will definitely have some nice loot for you. And we're starting to approach step 3, basically to start milking. So we made some maps that are really strong and powerful, with nice drops and extra levels. And you not always want to use extremely powerful Waystones on these maps, because they are already pretty powerful and you need to make sure you know that your character can handle this type of maps. So first of all, try to test out it with lower tier Waystones, and be extra careful when encountering monsters. You need to understand, can you be one-shotted by basic fireball right now, or you're fine and you can go. While hard and beefed up Waystones will definitely give you a lot more Waystones as well as other goodies, these beefed up maps alone will give you lots of stuff anyway. This strategy will give you a lot of power and experience to get more Atlas points, get more waypoints, and get you to higher tier maps. So on what maps you want to use these hard Waystones? On maps that got lots of bonuses from Percussor towers, but not a lot of crazy additional mechanics like Bridge and Delirium. But of course, when you're going deeper and deeper into the end game, you want to complete as hard maps as possible, because higher tier Waystone with more bonuses, with harder monsters and more beefed up, more level of enemies will give you loads of crazy loot. So if you think your character is ready, you actually can instill Waystones. Yeah, you can add your Delirium currency to give more modifiers to your Waystones and make it even more harder. This will make area delirious as well as more harder, as well as it can spawn some crazy bosses unique to Delirium encounters. But your courage will be rewarded with good drops as well as unique drops for these delirious encounters. So that was the strategy and plan how to advance through endgame in Path of Exile 2. But now let me explain how to prepare your character to be ready to face extremely hard opponents. Face Delirium bosses right from the get-go when you just load it to the map, and getting some nice and juicy loot, of course, as well as great items. I just got an item that I sold instantly for 10 exiles. Probably it costs a lot more, but still it was fast money. Well, I got the same formula for all my 5 characters that's running T15 maps right now. Basically, you want to start mapping with all resistances capped. So you want to make sure you get gear with all resistance at 75+. The more better, because you will have some debuffs that will give you -10 resistance, for example. The damage to start mapping on your main ability should show something around 10k DPS on main ability. But to go to T15, you want to upgrade your gear while you're advancing through the end game, getting more currency. You want to find something that will give you around 30, maybe 50k, it will be more comfortable. Still, it's pretty doable even with 15k. It's very nice to have some sort of protection, so armor, but it's not really powerful in Path of Exile 2 in my opinion. The best way to protect you is actually evasion, if your character can use evasion, or even armor plus evasion, but definitely you want to have as high health as possible to just survive one-shots from big and scary bosses. Most of the time 3k total HP will be enough, or HP plus energy shield, so total amount should be around 3k, but you still will die a lot, so probably around 6k is optimal if you can achieve it. Still, it will depend on the build a lot, but that's the baseline. And honestly, that's it, that's simple. So all you need to have is good build and good gear, and you can find how you can trade and get good gear pretty cheaply in Path of Exile 2 in this trading guide, and my favorite build on the screen right now. See you in the next videos.